알았어. 거길 또 들어간다고?
You get the truck, come back with the money.
That's $2.5 million per head. If you come back alive.
What is up? It's Tim here from Horror for Dummies with a little bonus episode because I just came out of the cinema after seeing Peninsula, which is the sequel to Train to Busan, which if you haven't seen yet, you need to. So I thought I'd do a quick little review and give you my thoughts and tell you whether you should go see the movie or wait till it's out on Netflix and do all that jazz. I will note that this is not a direct sequel to Train to Busan, but we'll get into that soon. So, Peninsula, released 2020. It came out in New South Wales, Australia, where I live today, which is the 7th of August, my bad. But it is being widely released in Australia on the 13th of August, and I believe later on in the month in the United States, but don't quote me on that, but it is coming soon. This is directed by Sang Ho Young, if I'm pronouncing that right, who also directed the first film, Train to Busan, along with many other South Korean movies. He did Seoul Station as well, which is a prequel to Train to Busan. So he's done all three of the Busan type films. Alright, so let's get into it. And the first thing I need to address is Train to Busan, obviously, because this is a sequel to Train to Busan in some ways, and this is what many people are going to go into the movie thinking. Now, I need to address why Train to Busan is as popular as it is, because it's one of the most talked about zombie movies in modern history, and the reason it's so popular, in my opinion, is because, one, it was fresh, two, it portrayed human emotion in depth, 3, it was action-packed. 4, it was at times scary and very tense. 5, it was visually impressive. 6, it's fun. And in my opinion, all in all, it's a masterpiece and easily in the top 5 of zombie movies. My personal opinion, it is probably my favorite zombie film out there. Even on par with the George Romero classics. Now, why do I address Train to Busan? The reason is, I think a lot of people are going to go into Peninsula with the mindset that this is going to be on par or just as good as Train to Busan. And I said before that Peninsula is not a direct sequel to Train to Busan. I mean, it's helmed by the same director, it's set in the same universe, but really the only returning characters are the zombies. So, people going into Peninsula who are ready for another Train to Busan, you need to lower your expectations. Because, in honesty, Peninsula is no Train to Busan. With that being said, Peninsula is not a bad film. Quite honestly, I had an absolute ball watching this. I enjoyed my time with it. So let's start with the pros of this film. First pro, it was action-packed. This film never really slows down. I mean, from the very beginning, we are introduced to a world very similar to that of The Walking Dead. And from there, we get zombies galore, we get action non-stop. The opening to this movie was incredible. I absolutely loved it, and once the title card came up, I was like, this is it. This movie is going to be absolutely insane, and I'm going to love every second of it. The opening to this movie, I won't lie, it got me. I had a tear running down my cheek, and already it's gotten me emotionally. It's got me with a smile on my face. But then the rest of the movie goes on, and we'll continue. Next pro I've got to mention is the set designs. They are unreal. They did such a great job of showing how rundown and dead this world really is. I mean, you've got scenes of the sea, the ocean, you've got scenes of city, ruins and stuff like that, and they really did a good job of making this look so desolate and just dead. No pun intended. Next pro is the look and the movement of these zombies. It's absolutely phenomenal. And this was one of the main reasons why I fell in love with Train to Busan to begin with. The way these zombies move and the way they contort is so unnerving. It's so creepy and downright scary that it was something new. And I know World War Z was something similar, but Train to Busan perfected it. They did the contorting zombies to unreal lengths, and Peninsula follows that. They really show some unique ways of how these zombies move, and I really like that. Once again, the opening scene is you see some zombies move in a complete creepy and otherworldly way, and it just really sets the tone for the movie. Much like the original film, this is another pro for me, much like the original film, Peninsula, it does have its emotional moments throughout, and even right at the start. As I said before, I did shed a little tear right at the start. Now, while I agree that they may feel overdramatic, and I know a lot of people are going to say that they're overdramatic and they tried too hard to have the emotional punch, they worked for me. And I found myself shedding a tear more than once during this film. And, okay, I'm not going to lie, I'm a big softie. I have 3 kids, and stuff with kids makes me cry. That's not to say that there's any kid-related stuff in this movie, but I've just had a child about 3 weeks ago, and my emotions are all over the place, so anything kind of makes me cry. So, me saying that you're gonna cry is probably a bit of a stretch, but it does have emotional scenes in it. Okay, now onto the cons. And really the biggest flaw this film has, the biggest thing that bothered me, was the effects. Now, a lot of this film is filled with pretty terrible CGI, and I often thought I was watching cutscenes from a video game. Now, I will admit it didn't take me out of the film, but I found it really distracting. I don't want to go too much into the story on this show because I want to leave everything ambiguous and let you really unravel the story for yourself. But there are moments especially in the action scenes, where you could tell it was heavily CGI'd. It's nothing to the extent of a Sharknado or anything like that, but think of a PlayStation 4 game where you have cutscenes. It's similar to that, and it kind of took me out. Now, the biggest difference, and that was really only the biggest con I had with this film. That was the biggest problem I had with this film. Everything else, I can see why people are disappointed with this film, but for me, nothing else really bothered me. Besides this, the biggest difference from Train to Busan to Peninsula is the difference in characters. Now, Train to Busan focused on real-life people. You know, people who don't carry guns, don't have military training, and don't really know what to do when there's a world epidemic. In this one, Peninsula, it's very weapons heavy. Now, this is not really a con for me, as it fits with the story, but still, it's a difference that makes Peninsula feel more like a cliched horror zombie film, and I can see a lot of people walking away from this film going, it's another zombie film. Overall, and here's my overall thoughts, I really, really, really enjoyed Peninsula. It's not perfect, and I can see a lot of people finding more problems with the film than I did. I think there'll be a lot of people who have problems with cliched moments, a lot of problems with characters, and as I said before, the emotional moments in this film may have been forced a little bit. For me, they worked, but I think a few people will be annoyed with how forced they can feel. But I really had fun with this. For a fun, action-packed popcorn film, this is definitely one to check out. My best advice I can give you is don't go into this film expecting another masterpiece like Train to Busan. and you'll enjoy your time with it. I mean, this is insane. If going back to when Train to Busan came out, I heard a lot of people say it's Snowpiercer meets Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. If that's what Train to Busan is, well, Peninsula is Mad Max meets Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. So, it has many elements that the first one did, but at the same time, it's a completely different story, it's a completely different area, and on top of that, it's a really good film, and I'm proud to say that it is in my top 10 of 2020 so far. So there's that. It was one of my most anticipated films of this year, and to be honest, it's probably the only film that I knew of at the start of the year that we are going to get. I'm waiting any second now to hear that Candyman is being bumped to next year, and that's really everything then. But yeah, that is it for this review. Peninsula, go and check it out. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 on this review. I really liked it. It is not as good as Train to Busan, but it's still a really, really good, well done film. So go and check it out, especially at cinemas. If you can go and see it at the cinema, go and check it out. It was really refreshing going and see it at the cinema. So that's it, guys. If you like this, please go and check our stuff out at Horror for Dummies. We are on Podbean, we are on Spotify, we are on TuneIn, all the good places where you can find podcasts. We are very active on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Letterboxd. You can find us at Horror for Dummies, and we have recently just announced that we are running a competition right now. If you want to win a copy of Jaws on 4K Blu-ray, then give us a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts, and you will be in the running to win a cool new Jaws 4K DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you call it. The new thing that's come out that looks pretty cool. I'm going to get one myself. So if you want to do that, that would be unreal. Thank you so much. Let us know if you have seen Peninsula as well. Let us know your thoughts. I'd be keen to discuss this movie more. So until next time, guys, we'll catch you next week with the regular show. Have a good one.